Alright, folks, this is Shag once again after my break for catching some breath there after the XXX scene transition. Interesting choice of scene transition notation, my good sir or madam. Mountain Tony's was a classy Italian restaurant. Pause for pun. The kind of place with a candle and wicker-clad bottle of Chianti. Pause for possibly incorrect wine pronunciation. At each table. There were a lot of them in Canterlot, but fewer in Ponyville. I got there half an hour early, got shown in by the maitre d', and arranged my flashcards discreetly. Oh, Twilight, you're so bad at this. God, okay. I didn't dress up. Something told me Pinky wouldn't either. But I did take the time to make sure my mane looked okay. Pinky burst in just as I was pouring myself a small glass of the wine. Sorry I'm late, Twi. Mr. and Mrs. Kate got a huge catering order and needed my help, although mostly they just kept sending me out for more ingredients. You're not late. I'm early. I took a sip and offered her the bottle, which she refused with a brilliantly white grin and a small shake of her head. Guess I just got nervous. What is there to be nervous about? What is there to be... Oh, wait, that is Pinky. What is there to be nervous about, silly? Pinky drained her glass of water in one long pull and started crunching on an ice cube. We're just two friends going on a date. Friends? Talk about mixed messages. She looked puzzled. Of course we're friends. I know that, but... I fiddled with my menu, trying to think of how to phrase it. I'd run through this conversation in my head 1,000 times since I came to Ponyville. Wait, what? Really? And at least 100 more since the Pinky Sense experiment. But no wording had ever seemed good enough. These are the trials of a compulsive editor who puts sentences that start with conjunctions in their synopsis. This changes things between us, doesn't it? You knew it would when you asked me out, Twilight. That's why I was so surprised when you did. So was I. I guess future me is made of sterner stuff. It's not like you're a different pony, silly. Who else would come up with a super-duper clever way of asking me out? I just hope it won't cost me too much. I remember the long list of twitches and spasms and how each one corresponded to some future mishap. Pinky just frowned. You're the smartest pony I know. You'll think of something. If you don't decode the mystery of Queen Meanie and then get flummoxed, you don't flummoxed by a twitchy Pinky. I was actually too worried about the date to think that much. Embarrassed, I lifted up a stack of the index cards from where I had stashed them under my chair. I even made flashcards. Ooh, let me see! Pinky dove across the table and snatched the cards and flipped through them with an unreadable expression. Then glanced up at me. Twi, you can't use this. It's all first date stuff. Right, that's the material I covered the most thoroughly. For me, that meant I read it 4 times instead of just 2. This is our first date, isn't it? But we already know each other. First dates are all... Her face went slack and her eyes drifted slightly apart. Your mane looks pretty. She canted her head back in the other direction. Well, I think the weather is nice. For what it was worth, I thought her mane did look pretty, even more like cotton candy than usual, but I wasn't just about to blurt it out. We know each other too well for that. So what do I do? You can stop looking at the candle every 10 seconds, she said. Are you worried about the first letter? The letter P, of Pinky Will You Go Out With Me? The one that portended an accident with fire. I hadn't noticed myself looking at it, but once Pinky had pointed it out, I remembered. I also remembered scooting it as far away from my side of the table as I could without getting it close to Pinky. I winced a little. Usually I'm more self-aware than that, as a matter of habit, and nodded a bit. Pinky leaned over the table, pursed her lips, and blew out the candle with a puff of air. There, all better. And with that, my anxiety drained away. It sounds silly, foolish even, to say that Pinky made me feel safe, but she did. In a way, her uncertain nature was reassuring. No matter how bizarre my life got, or how unsure I was about the path ahead, Pinky was more a mystery still. The rest of the date went well as far as I could tell. Pinky and I chatted about town gossip and our friends. The topic also veered off into more esoteric areas, of which I was surprised to find that Pinky had a wide grounding. Her knowledge seemed to be from second-hand oral accounts, For example, she came to have a cousin working in the dragon embassy. When I asked her how she ended up with so much knowledge of dragons, which contrasted nicely with my own more academic recollections. Steam has finished downloading Team Fortress 2. What did they screw up this time? More hats, no doubt. Anyway, enough getting distracted. When the waiter came to take our order, wow, that took a while, he helpfully reignited the candle for us. Pinky glared daggers at him behind his back and blew it out again, which made me giggle, and it did interesting things to my heartbeat. By the time we left, all traces of pink and orange were gone from the western sky, and Luna's moon was beginning to rise. Yay! A Luna cameo! Everyone say hi to Luna! She's going to be in the next episode. There was a thunderhead forming on the horizon as well, the omen of a warm summer storm. It smelled of rain. I stepped out carefully and studied the sky. Thank you for the wonderful night, Pinky. I should probably get back to Spike. Aw! Pinky bounced out of Mount Tony's behind me and pounded. But I had something extra super duper special to show you. Well, I never gave Spike a definite time. And spending more time with Pinky sounded good right about then. Where is this extra special thing? The edge of the Everfree! And she went bouncing off. There's your story with the conjunction again! Oh, you Twilight. Always messing up with your grammar when you're in love with a random person. Ahem. I trotted after her. Pinky, that's nearly 2 miles. And it's a great night for a walk, she called back. Yes, Pinky, get out of there. I couldn't argue with that, so I just followed along. She seemed content to hop through the quieting streets of Ponyville, and I was just as content to keep pace and sort out my feelings. On top of everything that made up my emotional layout, there was a pall of fear and doubt. I've been burned by Pinky Sense predictions before. Sure, that was when I was being boneheaded, but who's to say I wasn't being boneheaded now, in all new and fascinating ways? Underneath the anxiety was my ever-present sense of curiosity. There was so much going on that I wanted to know about. Was this the usual course of a progressing relationship? Given Pinky, I doubted it, but I still wondered. Another series of questions were reserved for the message from the future. Did my future self only send it to avoid a time paradox? I wasn't sure that could ever happen. All the data I'd collected indicated that Pinky Sense was never a false prophecy, but it was definitely a possibility. Okay, I'm going to stop reading right now. Here's my prediction. That particular combination of Pinky Senses does not foretell any disaster, only a loving, awesome, good relationship. Or something. Underneath the fear and questions was an unusual warmth. Pinky was a good date. Not that I had any reference, but still. And she was a better conversational partner than I would have given her credit for. I was having fun, but there was a something deeper I couldn't quite put my hoof on. Pinky sensed, not sensed with a capital S, when it snapped out of my self-involved horseshoe gazing. Hey, Twilight, she bounded over to me. What was with the silly faces? First you looked sad, then confused, then happy. Were you monologuing? Monologuing? Pinky, I'm not a supervillain. She gave me a level look that was all the more unusual for the fact that she was still bouncing. You have a science lab in your basement. You have a point. Pinky nodded and went back to humming tunelessly. We reached the edge of the Everfree soon after. The wild scent of the forest mixed with the ozone of the gathering storm. Pinky steered me over to a spot by the tree line and sat down. I'm going to pause for a second here. Has there ever been another story about a relationship that contained the word ozone? I doubt it. She didn't sit still, but her motions weren't born of tension. Quite to the contrary, she seemed supremely relaxed. I realized that moving around was such a default state for her that motionlessness was as much of an indicator as a stress as excited movement would be to a normal pony. She lolled aimlessly on the velvety grass. I laid down next to her. This is nice. Jeez, I sounded like Fluttershy. Who's the best pony? Are we here to watch the storm? Nuh-uh. Well, it seems like it's going to hit us anyway. I disliked rain as a matter of professional obligation. That sentence is funny for some reason. The worst enemy of a book is moisture, and I had been called in to do restoration on rain-damaged libraries before. Still, as long as it wasn't threatening any poor defenseless books with its oppressive wetness. Well, the physical sensation of rain was a pleasant one.